Alright, what's up everybody? So today we are here to talk about possibly my favorite camera of all time, which happens to be no other than the Fujifilm X-pro 3. And if y'all like that intro, which I hope y'all did, because it took me a long time, feel free to drop a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this in the future. And I have to admit, when I first got it, it wasn't kind of like something that I was liking right away. I mean, I kind of was thinking like, did I make the right decision? I just got rid of this camera I was pretty comfortable with using, and this is such a drastic change that I was kind of undecisive if I should try to go back or not. So, I was like, let me just keep it for a couple months and we'll see how it goes. If you want to hear why I switched over from the EOS R over to Fujifilm, you can find it in one of my videos, which I'll attach the link right here. But when I made that big jump, I saw the image quality, I saw everything that I kind of liked in the camera, and I was like, you know what, I really like Fujifilm system already. Let me just go ahead and take that leap. When I did that, I was all in. Traded my camera actually on Craigslist because I don't buy a lot of stuff new anymore. I traded my EOS R with the lens, and they gave me this, which happens to be the Duramax silver, and then they gave me cash on top of it as well. But the cool thing about it is the Duramax silver happens to be a titanium body, which is coated with a special coating that prevents it from receiving scratches that would typically occur from just regular moving around and things like that. Kind of looks gold, to be honest. Day to day, like when you're going around, depending on the sunlight, it looks gold. But in this current lighting right here, it actually has like a little like silver hue to it. So I mean, this is one of the rare times that it actually looks silver. I mean, it's cool, to be honest. One of the things that kind of made me kind of say when I got this camera, like, do I really even like this or do I not like it, is it was so different compared to any other camera that I've ever used before. Why it was so different is because typically on a camera you will have like the viewfinder in the center of it right here, and then the thing is, on this one the viewfinder is over here, so every time you take a picture you have to look out of this eye. So even if you're a person that like to use your left eye, you can, but it's kind of weird. Pretty much it has an electronic or EVF up here, and it has an OVF, which is different. So you have the option to look at it through the glass, and I'll show you. So right now I'm utilizing the OVF and now the EVF. So it has this little door, and the thing is that's also cool about it, you also have the option to have the OVF up, and then you can pull up a little screen in the bottom left corner, so you actually have an EVF and an OVF at the same exact time. That's really cool, but it kind of took me a little bit to get used to it. So when I first got this camera, I just like, let me go see if I can find a battery pack. I couldn't find a battery pack, and it would be kind of crazy to have a battery pack for this camera, but if there is some, like, let me know. I don't have any issues with it. I can go out a entire day of shoot on probably one battery. I shot an entire photo shoot with one battery. I mean, this is using external flash and everything, so I really don't have any issues. And the batteries pretty much are so small in this camera, all you have to do is just like pop it out. And this, you can fit probably like 3 or 4 of these in your pockets. Another thing that's so different about this camera happens to be the back portion. So right here, only thing that shows on this display is 2 things. You have an option to show the film simulation that you're using, which kind of gives you the feeling of using an old film camera, where you just go ahead and you take the piece of the box and you stick it in there so you can remember which film you're actually shooting with. I mean, it's a kind of like neat and cool thing that you really don't see on almost any other camera, or any camera at all, I should say. The screen isn't there. So on the old cameras, you have the option to have your eye at the viewfinder, pull away, you can see it right there. This one, it's like this all the time. You do have the option to flip it down, but you'll get so comfortable of just using this and not even just like using or pressing a button to like look at the pictures. You kind of get used to it, and it's actually kind of nice. So those are the initial things that when I first got the camera, I was like, it's probably going to be a rough transition over to this camera compared to the Canon EOS R. But later on I decided that, not really decided, but these things grew on me, and these were the factors that made me love this camera and only take this camera out when I'm seriously taking pictures. So when you kind of think about it, depending on what type of camera you have, it's a lot quicker. It's a lot quicker for you to just go ahead and just taking pictures, let me use the screen and flip it down, compared to, like, let's say for example you have the Fujifilm Xt2. By the way, it's a great camera, but if you want to change the perspective of it to where you want to view it from an upper angle and look down, what you'll have to do, you have to try to get this little point that's at the bottom, and you have to peel it out, and then you have to try to make sure it's like there. But this one is like real simple. You have this one, you can literally do it with one finger. Like, it's really simple. I like it. The other thing about it is the viewfinder or the rangefinder. When you're using it, since you have the option to use the OVF or the EVF, I've been in situations, and this could be possibly me as well. One thing that I've done, I was shooting at nighttime before, and it was completely pitch black, and I was trying to use the EVF, and it was kind of tough because I had a flash with me, and the previews, it was pretty tough. But what I did to make sure I was taking the photos that I wanted to, I used the OVF. So just pretty much looking through the glass, and that was actually a lot better for me than the EVF. So that's just a pro tip for anybody that has the X-Pro 3, if you deal with anything like that. So that was one thing that grew on me, or actually those are two things that grew on me. So the next benefit about this camera is how comfortable it is. Initially, it's a little weird because if you can see it, you typically only have just your thumb, and then you have your fingers to actually grip the camera, or sometimes resting on the palm of your thumb. So it's kind of like this and this. But one thing that I got recently is the thumb grip. So this adds almost like a third point of contact. So I recommend anybody that's planning on getting this camera get one of those, because it makes it feel a lot more comfortable, and it's nice. It gives you something else to hold and feel more secure with. So it's worth it. And the next thing that I really like about this is the image quality is nice. I mean, I really haven't had any issues with it. Even though it is APS-C, I've been able to crop in the photos and kind of zoom in a good bit and able to still get decent photos with this. So that shouldn't be even a concern unless you're planning on, I guess, maybe making billboard posters and things like that. But if you're not, I mean, I think most of us aren't. This is more than enough to do what we want to do. So the next thing that I like is really minimal. It kind of brings you back to the bare basics of photography if you think about it. You have all your dials, which are right here at the top. You have your ISO, which is right here. Really like a remembrance of film cameras where you have to pull it up and you rotate it to change your ISO. Your shutter speed is also on the same dial. And then also right here on you have this for the aperture. So everything is really right here. So I mean, if you're a beginning photographer, I think this may be a good camera for you as well, because you'll have access to use all these, and it'll probably help you build a better understanding instead of just just changing the dials and just getting to it. Another thing is this camera has the film simulations, which are pretty cool. It has a new one called Classic Negative. So Classic Negative, it kind of gives like this little, it's like a orangish reddish type of feel to it, and it's pretty cool. Well, if you're already in the Fuji system, you already know that you have recipes that you go ahead and find online and charts. Say, for example, if you want to go ahead and get Portrait 800 or Portrait 400, you can go ahead and make these adjustments to that Q button that we are just talking about, and you can try to go ahead and recreate that. So the fact that they have a new film simulation, that just opens up more possibilities for it. So one thing I don't think a lot of people even notice or talks about in this is that you can actually push and pull the images in the camera. So I haven't seen that in any other camera before. So the Xt2, from my knowledge, I haven't seen it there. But what this does, it allows you to look at a photo, and if you underexpose your photo or overexpose your photo, you can go ahead and make that adjustment right there in your camera to see what it looks like. So literally you have the capability to edit your photo anywhere you're at. So that's kind of cool in my opinion. Even though this is known as more of a street photography camera, I do feel as if, one, you can use this camera in any situation. You can use it in portrait scenarios, you can use it for weddings. I really don't see any way that you can't use this. So who is this camera for? It's for a specific group of people. It's not the traditional camera. It's a lot different. It's so simple that it may be complicated depending on where you're reverting from. But I feel once you start using it, you'll never trade it. This is definitely my favorite camera that I've ever owned in the past three and a half years of photography. All right, so before we get going, I just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in to the video today. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. If there's any questions, I mean, because this is a camera I feel like a lot of people necessarily don't use or kind of know a lot about, feel free to ask questions in the comment and I'll get back to you. So thanks again for tuning in.